The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 is lighter and faster this year, where you can multitask, play games, and even do 8K selfie recording and more. But honestly, is that really the big deal here? Well, after using this phone for a month, I found few quirks that nobody's mentioning and just one thing that almost made me want to go back to a regular phone. Alright, let's start with the design and the build quality. This Galaxy Z Fold 6 is slightly slimmer and is so light that I almost mistook it for the Galaxy S24 Ultra. So yes, it finally feels like you're not lugging around a brick in your pocket, so no more foldable phone workouts. Now the corners are more squarish this time, giving it a sleek rectangular finish. Now some reviewers says that the edges were quite sharp and poking their palms. I'm like, are your palms made of marshmallows, bro? But jokes aside, the build quality is super robust even with a lighter weight. And I went with this silver shadow variant, and honestly, in my opinion, it is the best Z Fold finish ever. It feels great, it does not attract any fingerprints, and yes, you can even wirelessly charge this as well, although it doesn't look like it. However, if I had to nitpick on something, would be the fact that it does wobble when you type the phone folded on a surface, but it is not as bad when you unfold and try to type this phone on a surface. Now let's talk about the screen. So for this case, the screens. Now the cover screen is wider now, but it's not as wide as a usual slab phone. And the cool part is that this is an LTPO AMOLED 2x panel, so it can drop to 1Hz and go up to 120Hz. Plus, because it's Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection, for the first time ever, I am actually confident using this foldable phone without a case. Something that you can't say for most foldables out there, but just don't test that confidence too much and do some dumb drop tests like some people tend to do, yeah? Now the cover screen was also super bright with a peak brightness of 2600 nits, and what I loved the most was the automatic brightness adjustment. Whether or not you're watching videos in broad daylight or even scrolling at night, it was always spot on. Then typing on the cover screen is also quicker now thanks to its wider form factor, and even I found myself watching videos more on this cover screen as well. But of course the real star is this, the inner 7.6-inch display, which is perfect for those treadmill cardio sessions. Trust me, having this on a treadmill beats watching videos on any non-foldable phone. But the only downside is the fact that the inner screen is quite reflective, and while the crease doesn't bother me anymore, it might be a deal breaker if you are new to foldables. Then the screen brightness adjustment in auto mode here was also fantastic. So yes, the display experience of using the phone both on the cover and the inner screen was a really great experience overall, using it for more than a month. Now let's talk cameras, because while the cameras were the same as last year's Fold, but I felt like the image processing was better overall. Now just for context, I've left everything at default before taking these photos and videos, just turning on the grid and the watermark, so let's go through the photos. Now starting from the ultra-wide photos, the dynamic range both for the brighter and the darker shades of each image was amazing, and as expected, the images were sharp from edge to edge. Now the main lenses were also really good too, really making the phone a true flagship with no compromises at all, where you can zoom further up to 3 times, 10 times and even up to 30 times, but the sweet spot to get the best image quality is the 10 times zoom during the day. Now the rear portrait mode also has 3 zoom levels, and for objects it was definitely one of the best, not only because of the great subject to background blur, but also the edge detection and how it blends with the background was super amazing. But where the phone shines even more is when taking photos of a person, because even at the wider 1x zoom, the edge detection was flawless all the way to the 3x zoom without a single color shift, where the pictures look like I almost cropped from the first 1x zoom to the 3x zoom image because of there's no color shift at all. Then the daytime selfie for the regular selfie mode was great, and I used the rear camera to take selfies too, where the quality was really good with a natural bokeh thanks to its bigger rear camera sensor. But keep in mind, by doing this, it's not as easy as how you would do it on the Flip 6, since you'll need to hold the phone like this, like that, when you take a shot. But honestly, at first it was hard, but I kinda got used to it after about 1 day or 2. And if you're taking a portrait selfie using the cover screen alone, it still produced some really nice images, and yes, you can even use the rear cameras over here too, which did produce overall better results with amazing dynamic range for the background blurred area. Now what's interesting is that if you plan to take a photo using this inner in-display camera, when you look at the image before taking a shot, it does not look very good, but after taking a shot, the image processing that Samsung did was quite magic. So it is great to know that you have a lot of versatility when taking selfies using all of the different type of lenses or the modes available. Then switching over to night, the ultra-wide lenses handle highlights very well, as seen as the traffic lights and the lamp posts as well. The skies were also nice and black with no noise on the darker areas, and I was extra surprised to see how well that the photos did on an ultra low light situation in this particular shot, as the details were still very prominent and properly lit up as well. Then of course, as expected, the main lenses at night also performed superbly. I just love how the transition from the brighter to the darker area looks very natural to how the eye perceives it. Now this particular night mode can only go up to 10 times, but I would just use up to the 3 times zoom, as the quality does degrade on 10 times, especially in an ultra low light situation. Then the night portrait mode was also flawless, performing as well as the daytime shots, something that you cannot say with most other smartphones out there. And this shows how well Samsung has done with their overall image processing, especially at night. Now you can take selfie using the rear cameras using the cover screen as shown earlier, but I love how there's also an ultra wide camera mode over here where you can go from regular to an ultra wide portrait mode as well using these rear lenses. Then as for videos, starting from the daytime videos first, here's where I went through some potential issues, as when I was taking 8K videos specifically, the phone did become warm to the touch, and this could be because the phone's chipset was really working hard to produce this high quality video footage. I mean, even my Blackmagic Cinema cameras has a larger form factor than this. They claim that there is no 8K variant because it was too small of a device. So imagine a device with this smaller size. So I can understand why that it does become warm when you shoot in 8K. But if you're shooting in a 4K resolution, the ultra wide and the main lenses produce some really nice video, even up to 3 times zoom. Image stabilization wise, I was floored by the amazing performance of the 8K video, where it really looked like a great handheld 8K camera. But of course, the 4K ultra wide and even the main lenses was even more steady, as seen over here. Now speaking of 8K, you can even take selfie videos using the rear camera on the 8K mode. But since I was moving and holding the phone like this, I did have a little anxiety holding the phone like this. But yes, you will be able to take high quality 8K footage if you really need to. But I have to be honest to say that the video did look very great on the cover screen at 4K resolution with great dynamic range and the image stabilization as well. Then at night, the rear cameras were also superb, and the darker areas had no noise at all on the 8K video recording, where the darker areas was as high quality as an OLED TV, where I was able to cover some great details on the reflection of cars and nicely on the highlights as well. But of course, once again, if you shoot 8K video for long periods, then you'll start to feel the phone becoming warmer. So I will just stick to the video quality for the 4K main lenses, or if the area is nicely lit, you can even use the ultra wide lenses too. Then image stabilization wise, the 8K video was decent, but you can see a lot of jitters, but you'll see even more on the 4K ultra wide lenses, where the main 4K lenses when it comes to image stabilization perform the best over here. Then finally, the nighttime video for the cover screen selfie were decent, and if you use the rear camera for the 4K video, it was better even compared to the ultra wide video. And of course, if you want to get the best video quality, you can use 8K over here as well. So yes, this means that you can actually do 8K vlogging. And speaking of vlogging, here's an audio and a video recording test for you to see and hear how it sounds. So this is an 8K video recording. I'm looking there where I'm supposed to look here. So if you want to take videos of 8K using the rear camera, you can. Easily, because the viewfinder is available over here. Okay, so this is a 4K video recording, similar like what I've done earlier. I have the viewfinder of the cover screen on my right, so I tend to look on my right because that's how we usually do, but since the camera lenses are here, so I need to get used to that. But it's great that you can actually have this. Holding the phone in this particular form factor is not the most comfortable compared to the Z Flip, but you know, we're having a way better camera system and up to 8K recording, which is great if you guys are into that. Now, if you guys are enjoying this camera sample so far, do give this video a nice big thumbs up, and a subscription would be extra sweet. Thank you very much in advance. Now, the software experience on the Fold 6 was definitely one of the biggest reasons to get this particular foldable. Now, besides the gaming performance that I'll talk later on in this video, multitasking on this was really amazing. Especially if you're switching from the S24 Ultra to this Fold 6. Things like having WhatsApp contacts on the left and the chats on the right is something that I truly miss and appreciated more, and the same goes to Telegram as well. Then the keyboard separation when typing when the phone is unfolded made typing on this particular form factor even easier, and browsing apps like Notion was also a huge plus point on this particular screen as well. Now, during my daily use, I have to say that the vibration intensity was just okay. Definitely felt better on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but another life-saving feature for me is the docking system at the bottom that gives you that laptop or the desktop vibe for you to easily choose apps over there. Then as for Galaxy AI, I will be doing a dedicated video on all of these new features, but using things like circle to search and sketch to image on the inner display is a much better experience, and since the S Pen is not included, I just used my finger to draw on the screen, where I easily created a ghost-like figure here in the studio and also created a friend for my cat Luna too. Now, speaking of the S Pen, if you're wondering if you can use the S Pen from say your S24 Ultra or any other models, you can't, because the phone will give you a prompt which looks like this, that it might damage the screen, or you'll need to get one specifically designed for the Z Fold series. So the only pen which works on this Z Fold series is the dedicated ones or even the S Pen Pro. But if you'd like for me to do a dedicated video on using the S Pen Pro, let me know and I'll purchase that and do a video for you. Then other Galaxy AI features like the new Interpreter app was way better than this because of the larger cover screen as well. Then finally, one of the best things about owning a Samsung phone now is the fact that it comes with a massive 7 years of Android and security updates. So that is a massive win, and software support for any Samsung phones, especially for this foldable as well. So how does the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy chip perform for gaming? Well, I was totally surprised, and yes, in a good way. Because while the phone did feel warm when I was using the 8K resolution to record using the cameras, I am happy to report that it didn't overheat at all during gaming. As the phone played very well at the highest settings, 60 FPS with motion blur set to high on Genshin Impact, and I tested gaming both on the cover screen and the inner screen as well, and there was no issues at all. Now, speaking of using the cover screen to game, I was actually surprised that gaming on this folded rectangular form factor was quite comfortable, but one thing that really stood out to me besides the performance was the screen, as the graphics and colors were one of the best on any other smartphones. And while the battery drain was minimal, and don't go anywhere because I'll be talking about the battery life on this soon, but yes, if you are indeed playing games for a really long time, just play on the medium settings on Genshin Impact, or you can just take a break and go outside and enjoy the skies instead. If it's not raining, of course. Then switching over to COD Mobile, it performed best at graphics set to very high and frame rate at max. Now, performance wise, it was really great, but at first, the aspect ratio was something that you might need time to get used to specifically for this game. But after you got used to it, you'll enjoy the experience when you use this, whether or not it's on both of the form factors. So yeah, gaming is a beast on the Z Fold 6, whether or not you're playing casual games like Asphalt 9 Legends Unite, which was quite nice, or even heavier games as well. Lastly, let's talk about the battery life, because I got about 4 hours of screen on time with heavy usage, using the phone mainly on this unfolded screen when I was at 10% battery with dark mode turned on. Now, as mentioned, there is a wireless charging up to 15 watts, wired charging up to 25 watts, and even 4.5 watts of reverse wireless charging. Now, these are probably not mind-blowing specs, but they are very reliable when it comes to the battery life, especially if you're not doing heavy work, where you could get close to 5 hours plus, which was really great. Now, speaking of specs, if you're lost in all the technical details mentioned and would like to have a written recap, well, we do have a written review for all of our videos at our website at www.adamlobo.tv. Links to that will be down below. So there you have it, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 after 1 month. It is lighter, more robust, and packed with amazing software features, which makes it a really serious choice in the foldable category. So if you're in the market for a foldable and want something that can last for a really long time, then this is something that you can fold on to.